Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now the Bitcoin price is getting extremely close to an important decision, and this is happening as the UK's central bank, the Bank of England, has just officially announced they are U-turning back to quantitative easing, which is money printing at whatever scale is necessary. This is huge, so make sure you stick around to the end of this video so that you don't miss out on any of this important information. First of all, just giving you a quick update on the US stock market. This right here is the Nasdaq 100 index on the daily time frame, and over the last one trading day, we've actually seen a bit of a bounce in the US stock market, and this bounce could be due to a couple different reasons. First of all, we have some technical reasons on the chart, such as the price running into this support box right here, which is coming into play in between around 11,000 and 11.2k for the Nasdaq 100 index. Also, we have the daily RSI bouncing from those oversold territories. And in case you're new to all of this, when the RSI is oversold, that usually means we have limited room to the downside in the somewhat shorter term. But more of a fundamental reason as to why we've seen the US stock market bounce over the last one trading day could be due to the fact that we're beginning to see a new flood of money rolling in from the Bank of England, the UK central bank. And I'll be talking more about that in just a moment. But first, one of the main reasons as to why we've only seen a small bounce in the US stock market, despite the Bank of England pivoting back to quantitative easing, is because even though the Bank of England is one of the biggest central banks in the world, it's not the biggest central bank in the world. And also another obvious reason as to why we've only seen a small bounce in the US stock market despite the UK central bank beginning quantitative easing again is due to the fact that we're talking about the US stock market and the UK central bank. So obviously they're in completely different parts of the world. And so even though the UK's central bank can affect markets outside of the UK, its effect on the US stock market, for example, isn't as strong when compared to the Federal Reserve, because obviously the Federal Reserve is the US central bank, and on top of that, of course, the Federal Reserve is the largest central bank in the world. And so if or when the US Federal Reserve performs a similar pivot to what the Bank of England just performs, then that is when we could see a much larger recovery in the US stock market and also a larger recovery in the crypto market. And just before getting into the crypto part of this video, just quickly explaining in more detail what the Bank of England actually just did. And what they just did was announce an emergency gilt market operation. And by the way, a gilt is essentially what the UK calls a government bond. And this page, by the way, is on the official Bank of England website. And if you scroll down a little bit further, they actually say what they're going to do. And as the Bank of England says right here, the bank will carry out temporary purchases of long-dated UK government bonds from the 28th of September. So basically starting immediately. And the purpose of these purchases will be to restore orderly market conditions, and the purchases will be carried out on whatever scale is necessary to affect this outcome. And so once again, the Bank of England, one of the largest central banks in the world, is now beginning to purchase government bonds starting immediately. And they do say the word temporary, but take that word with a grain of salt, because as we all know, central bankers like Jerome Powell was saying a year ago that inflation was just going to be temporary. But one of the key takeaways right here is the fact that they literally said these purchases will be carried out on whatever scale is necessary in order to restore orderly market conditions. And in case you're new to all of this, when a central bank purchases government bonds, that's essentially what quantitative easing is. That's essentially what printing money is. Because as we could see over here, central banks can affect the quantity of money in circulation by buying or selling government securities, also known as government bonds. And so when a central bank is looking to increase the quantity of money in circulation, it purchases government securities. And this is also known as quantitative easing, of course, because a quantitative easing program is when central banks create money out of thin air and use it to buy up assets and securities such as government bonds. And then this newly created money from the central bank enters the banking system, and then all of the other banks that are receiving that newly printed money have their bank reserves swell up by the amounts of money that they're receiving. And when banks have more cash in their bank reserves, that actually encourages banks to go and lend. And when more and more banks are wanting to lend out that money, that actually helps to lower long-term interest rates and encourage investment. And there's a few reasons as to why a central bank might do this, might increase the supply of money. One of those reasons is if we're seeing very low inflation or even deflation, because by doing this, by printing more money and injecting it into the financial system, that essentially pushes inflation even higher. higher, but obviously we know that isn't the reason why they're doing this, because the year-over-year inflation rate in the UK is currently sitting at nearly 10%. But another reason why the Bank of England, the UK central bank, would do this is if the bond market is collapsing, which is pretty much what has been happening. And I won't be going too much into detail about all of that in this video, because that's a topic for another video. If you want to see that, of course, let me know in the comment section down below. But basically, if the Bank of England didn't do this, then that would result in the bond market further collapsing, which can actually result in massive institutions such as pension funds or banks, for example, going bankrupt. And so essentially, the decision that the Bank of England has made right here is to choose to save financial markets over saving inflation. And once again, this decision can affect markets around the world, but it doesn't have as strong of an effect compared to if the Fed made this same decision. But anyway, getting into the crypto part of this video, this right here is the daily Bitcoin chart. And right now we're experiencing a little bit of a bounce from this horizontal range of support, which is still coming into play in between around 18,500 and 19,000. And on top of that, technically speaking, we still have an active bullish divergence playing out right now, which once again means that we're due to see reduced bearish momentum. And ever since the bullish divergence formed, we've obviously seen reduced bearish momentum on the daily time frame. But other than that, nothing much has happened here on the daily chart over the last couple days. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this chart right here, check out my last 1 to 2 videos on this channel. But anyway, zooming out to the 3-day Bitcoin chart, and right now the price of Bitcoin is potentially in this falling wedge pattern, which is technically a bullish pattern. And the last falling wedge pattern that formed on this chart right here was actually during the middle of last year. And the middle of last year was also the last time where we saw a massive bullish divergence form on the 3-day Bitcoin chart, with obviously lower lows in the Bitcoin price in the candle closes on the 3-day time frame, but higher lows in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI. And right now, technically speaking, we're seeing a very similar structure form at the moment, with lower lows in the 3-day candle closes in the price action, but higher lows in the 3-day Bitcoin RSI, which is of course a bullish divergence. And so technically speaking, this much larger bullish divergence on the 3-day time frame means that we're due to see reduced bearish momentum. So instead of a move like this, for example, based on this bullish divergence, we're most likely going to continue to see some more sideways price action or perhaps a slight bullish relief. But personally, I would not start to flip more bullish again on these larger time frames until the price of Bitcoin potentially starts breaking above some of these key levels of resistance. For example, this descending line of resistance, which currently is sitting at around 21.2k approximately. But more importantly, if the price of Bitcoin actually breaks one of these previous highs to start forming a higher high, then that could even act as some more bullish confirmation on these larger timeframes, potentially pointing towards a larger bullish relief. And this previous high, in case you're wondering, is sitting at around 22.7k, and the high before that is sitting at around 25,000. But obviously, as of right now, the price of Bitcoin on this 3-day time frame has not broken above this descending line of resistance, and certainly hasn't yet put in a higher high on these larger time frames. And so technically speaking, as of right now, even though we do have this bullish divergence telling us that we're due to see reduced bearish momentum, we have not confirmed a larger bullish reversal, at least as of right now. But anyway, zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, at the moment, looking at these price oscillators, they're still telling us that we're most likely due to see more choppy sideways price action, with the RSI chopping around sideways around the neutral level, and the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD showing almost no momentum to either direction at the moment. And as for some short-term support and resistance levels to watch out for, first of all, we have some horizontal support right here at around 18.6 to 18.7k, which I talked about in my last video. And anything below that level of support, so if we see some 4-hour candle closes below around 18.7k, then I would expect a drop down towards this local low, which is sitting closer towards 18.2k. And as for resistance in the short term, we do have this 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance, which is sitting at around 19.7 to 19.8k. And anything above that level, then we have the 50% retracement level, which is sitting at around 20.3k. And then anything above that level, then I'll be looking towards the golden pocket level of resistance, which is sitting at around 20.9k to 21k. But once again, based on the trend in the price action itself, and also based on these price oscillators in the short term, the most likely scenario for Bitcoin in the shorter term is most likely going to be some more choppy sideways price action within these resistance levels and these support levels. And if you want to know how to make a lot of profit from this choppy sideways price range, then stick around to the end of this video. video. But anyway, getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily Ethereum to US dollar chart. And right now, the price of ETH is still continuing with its bounce from this golden pocket level of support, which was sitting at around 1.2k. And once again, as I've been mentioning almost every day over the last 1 week, we're currently seeing reduced bearish momentum in the daily Ethereum MACD, which is somewhat similar to what we saw towards the end of August, early September, and also back towards the end of June. And if we're looking at what happened to the price of ETH during those time periods, it basically meant that we're due to see a slight bullish relief in the markets. But I want to make it clear that this signal alone on the daily time frame doesn't actually confirm a bullish reversal out of a bearish trend, because obviously we saw this same signal back here, which resulted in a shorter term bullish relief. But of course, that was only a pause within the bearish trend, which at the moment is potentially what we're seeing. And of course, if bullish reversal signals start appearing on the chart, I'll be sure to let you know about them in these videos, like I did back there. If you're on the channel back then, back in June, July, we had quite a few more bullish reversal signals flashing on the chart back then. But as of right now, we don't really have many bullish reversal signals on these larger timeframes. And so based on that, as of right now, the trend still remains bearish on this daily time frame. But zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, technically speaking, based on the price action and these price oscillators, the trend in the immediate short term is actually a neutral trend. It's a sideways trend, because like I said yesterday, the 4-hour Ethereum RSI and the 4-hour Ethereum MACD are showing almost no momentum to either direction in the immediate short term, which usually means more choppy sideways price action is to come. And obviously, if you're looking at the highs and lows in the price of ETH in the shorter term, we're pretty much seeing horizontal highs and horizontal lows, which is basically a sideways or neutral trend. And when it comes to support and resistance levels in the short term for the price of ETH, first of all, we have some horizontal support sitting at around 1280 approximately. And anything below that level of support, then I'll be looking towards this local low, which is sitting at around 1220. And as for some short-term resistance levels, we do have a bit of a resistance around here, which is sitting at about 1340 approximately. And anything above that level, then I'll be looking towards the 38.2% Fibonacci level of resistance, which is sitting closer towards 1.4k. And anything above that level, if the price of ETH actually breaks above 1.4k, then I'll be looking towards around 1470 to 1480. And anything above that level, then I'll be looking towards the golden pocket level of resistance, which is sitting at around 1550. And if you want to know how to maximize your profits in crypto, whether or not the price is going down, up, or just chopping around sideways like it is at the moment, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. Because the video in the top left of your screen, it shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is going either up or down. And the video in the bottom left of your screen is the one you should watch now, because that shows you how to make money in crypto if the price is going sideways. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.